Good day. For this segment of the EPRDC series on preparing your project-based research grant proposal, I will guide you on the areas you need to highlight for your proposal to be a success. I am Teresita Rungduin, a faculty researcher of the Educational Policy Research and Development Center. I have applied for research grants over the years. Some were approved while others were not. But one insight that I gained is that developing good research ideas is both a science and an art. Selecting and then conceptualizing the research idea requires both tools and practice. There are grand ideas, good ideas, and doable ideas. Often, the distinction is in the eyes of the reviewer. So let me walk you through the ideas that worked for a number of researchers. The PBRG 2020 will prioritize proposals on product development for patenting or commercialization, flexible learning, gender and education, and other projects that will lead to education policy development. This is important to the proposal you are developing because it means that if your research interest is in other areas, it may be considered. However, if there are a number of proposals matching the priority projects, the chances of being accepted may lessen. What you can do is check your research interest and if it matches with the other priority areas. This way, you get to work with what you like. At the same time, the university sees your results as essential to the path it wishes to take. However, we are living in an extraordinary time. The pandemic affected a lot of areas in our lives as teachers and now as researchers. We have to take into consideration the following concerns. First, we should adhere to the government guidelines. When it comes to mass gatherings, like when you see the need for focus group discussions, group observations, and the like, there are certain rules to be followed. Likewise, the pandemic limits our mobility, and it is safer to get information from our participants through other means other than having physical contact with them. This means we need to explore and exhaust possibilities when it comes to online surveys, interviews, and other means of getting access to the data. The way we perceived our plan or what we knew worked then may not be the best, if not the safest way now. However, this should not limit us to use what we have been used to and at the same time explore other means to understand our topic. For example, if you designed your project to use qualitative approaches, you may resort to daily logs using emails sent to you by your respondents, or you may want to get consent for video calls with your participants. Next is resources. Because of the pandemic, we need to put our efforts to projects that may have the least expenses for resources so that others may conduct the research activities also. Having said that, the arrangements for availing various resources may be limited, and as a researcher, you need to explore options to address your needs, anticipate, and plan ahead. Lastly, our participants' needs become a priority. We need to ensure their safety and that their time is spent in a way that would not cause them stress and harm. This is why we need to develop our safety protocols to ensure our participants' safety and wellness as participants in our study. The EPRDC Research Ethics Committee may provide you further assistance with this. The first step in developing your proposal is to get to know the priorities of our institution. One way to know more about that is to look at our research agenda. The information you will provide in relating your research with the research agenda may be one of the highlights of the project description, thus making a case for the need of the project. This can now be carefully expounded in the significance of the project. The research agenda is an umbrella of topics placing PNU as a teacher education research hub. While I mentioned the priority projects in my second slide, you may also consider if your topic may be under one of these areas: information and knowledge management, brain-based education neuroscience, internationalization of teacher education, innovations in curriculum and pedagogy, people empowerment and social advocacy, teacher quality enhancement, community responsiveness, and environmental sustainability. It might also help if you have done your readings on other projects that PNU has been involved in the past years. For example, the PPST, the PISA, the GCED or GCED, and other projects where PNU is active in, and link it with your project. This way, your project may be seen more worthy of being given budget. A grant application is an exercise in communication. It can be more challenging to communicate ideas clearly when there is less room to do so. Provide a convincing argument that clearly shows that your project will address a problem or answer a research question that is timely and relevant to the field. The research reviewer should quickly be able to answer several key questions related to the importance, need, and purpose of the project and your credentials to undertake the proposed project. Questions like, why is your project important to the university? Was a case made for the project's need? What's new, different, or better? Was the hypothesis or purpose clearly identified? Does the hypothesis or purpose address the need? Do the specific aims address the purpose? What track record do you have to accomplish your aims or goals? Do you have prior related work experience and grants? Who have been your collaborators? The reviewer is unlikely to be from your field and typically will be a busy person. Therefore, it is critical to write clearly and avoid jargon. If the formatting rules permit, create headings that contain the take-home message for each section. This is why our PBRG form is very short. Topic sentences should contain the key points for quick reading. As much as possible, we use bullets, key diagrams, or charts to highlight other key points. This way, the reviewer will see your main points when it comes to how you design the concepts and their relationships. This is an example of the proposal I made for PBRG 8. The title of my proposal is Life Narratives of Women Recipients of University-Designed Extension Programs. Notice what I highlighted as the significance of the project. To provide information on the extent of help provided to women recipients of our extension programs, and to answer the dearth of research about what happens after extension programs had been implemented. Basically, my study explores whether the women perceive what has been taught to them to be careful or aligned with what they need. It is also significant because it highlights the role of women contributing to their own well-being. Next is project design. Clearly explain your methodology and evaluation methods. Describe the participants and context of your project. And select the appropriate sample size. If the project involves human subjects or human participants for that matter, state that you will seek REC approval and consider the REC or the Research Ethics Committee application process when you design your project timeline. Identify potential measurable outcomes of the project and the type of data you need to collect. Do you need to collect qualitative, quantitative, or both? Describe the strategies and instruments you will use to collect data, followed by the methods or data analysis you will perform. The methods must test the hypothesis or answer the research questions and address the purpose of your projects. Okay. This was how my team designed our methods extending over 10 months or 1 school year. We anticipated probable issues and concerns. That is why we extended our data collection to 6 months. Please notice the analysis phase takes 3 months, where the actual writing of the report is part of. In this project, I was with Dr. Tito Baclagan, Dr. Armina Mangawil, Dr. Fortunato Vendival Jr., and Ms. Maria Luz Rantael. We were able to finish on time, addressing timeliness and efficiency, and the article now has been submitted for review in the Normal Lights. Of course, we were generously assisted by the administration, faculty, and community members of PNU South Luzon. Next is plan a feasible project development and implementation timeline. Feasible. Based on the design and methods you will pursue, map a realistic and feasible timeline within the grant period. Account for extra time in case the implementation process does not run as smooth as planned. Particularly, if you cannot commence necessary startup activities prior to the official start date, projects that involve multiple sites and programs typically demand more time. If your project involves human subjects, the REC process must be factored in, especially if participants are hosted at different sites, DepEd, higher education institutions, other agencies. Remember, less is more. A succinct timeline that is self-explanatory and highlights project milestones or deliverables is often most effective. This is how we programmed our project. There were problems and issues along the way which involved problems in the actual implementation, but we were able to address them in a way that made us see how program management should be. A PBRG does not only entail that you know how to formulate a research and put what you got into writing. A PBRG is an opportunity to explore one's project management capabilities as well, like efficient spending, timeliness, clear protocols, organization of the research people, and being transparent with your research team. Next is project design in relation to allocating your funds appropriately. The best advice I can give you in preparing the budget is to be honest and practical. Reviewing budgets from our colleagues' application can also be helpful. It is more common for studies to be stopped early or scaled back because of insufficient funding than for studies to be completed with excess funds remaining. The problem of a lack of funds can be avoided by resisting the urge to cut corners because before the study even begins. Provided that the funding you are requesting is not greater than the university allows in the call for application, you are more likely to be successful trying to justify the expected expenses than downplaying it. Justification of the budget is paramount. Typically, the budget is broken down into specific line items related to salaries of personnel, equipment, services, travel, and institutional overhead. An itemized document that justifies each line item eliminates guesswork for the reviewer. So, when it comes to moving forward, projects with products that will endure beyond the grant period and may stipulate community involvement and or impact are to an advantage than projects that are not sustainable. State how the outcomes of the project will be sustainable beyond the funding period in your specialization, faculty, or college. Anticipate how you will maintain and even expand the outcomes of your project after the grant period. This is how we formulate our research programs. The outcomes of your project should not require extra funds to ensure their sustainability unless this is a pilot being used to pursue the next level funding. The explicit support of your higher ranking administrator, your college deans, associate deans, may serve as a testament of the sustainability of your project. Describe your plans for disseminating the outcomes of your project, including the non-academic audiences, and your project's impact locally, nationally, and or internationally. Explain the difference your project will make to the field and what the future initiatives your project might give rise to. Your dissemination plans will also reflect the sustainability of your project beyond the grant period. And most importantly, publish. So this is a summary of what we have gone through for the past 15 minutes. Remember that your project proposal will be reviewed by how clearly you communicate what you want to happen and why you want to have the results you envision. Happy writing! These are my references, and thank you for watching. For questions you may have regarding this presentation, kindly email eprdc@pnu.edu.ph or my personal email rongduin.tt@pnu.edu.ph, and we will try our best to address your concerns. Thank you!